Welcome to our first episode of Behind the Music. We are fortunate to start our series with a talk by bassist composer Michael Bisio. Michael has been called a poet, a wonder, and one of the most virtuosic and imaginative performers on the double bass. He is a recipient of the prestigious Artist Trust Fellowship and has over 100 recordings in his discography. Michael has been a member of the Matthew Shipp Trio since 2009, performing throughout the Americas and Europe with piano icon Shipp. Jazz Times described Michael Bisio's performances as resonating with intelligence, emotional depth, and probing virtuosity. Please enjoy.
Hello, thank you for spending some time with me today. I'd also like to thank Capital District Jazz for inviting me to talk to you. The subject that I was assigned in a broad sense is a listener's guide to improvised music. In the first place, I would like to state that we are all listeners, no matter which side of the bandstand we're on, and listening is the most important aspect, and active listening is imperative to this music. And I can't tell you how important it is to have your energy there. It is such a wonderful, uplifting thing that the journey almost is not possible without you. So thank you very, very much. And I think the meaning in music, maybe in any art, is not found in the conclusions you can draw from it. It is found in being in the moment with it. And that's what improvised music is all about. I think probably one of the first revelations I had about this music was actually from Jack Kerouac. And I'd like to read a segment from his Essentials of Spontaneous Prose. Center of interest. Begin not from preconceived idea of what to say about the image, but from the jewel center of the interest in the subject of the image at the moment of writing. And write outwards, swimming in a sea of language to peripheral release and exhaustion. Do not afterthink except for poetic or PS reasons. Never afterthink to improve or defray impressions. The best writing is always the most painful, personal, wrung out, tossed from the cradle, warm, protective mind. Tap from yourself, the song of yourself. Blow now. Your way is the only way, good or bad, always honest, ludicrous, spontaneous, confessional, interesting, because not crafted. Craft is craft. There's a lot going on there. For myself, I always try to begin at what Kerouac calls the jewel center, and that's an interpretive thing, of course, but it's also gets the music off the page. Not that I ever use a page, but it's very important to have music is a language. It's also perhaps the most abstract language. So I think it's always vital that you have a metaphor to relate to those around you so that the music carries a meaning. And even though someone listening might not know my specific meaning, they can feel the energy that my own metaphor produces. Okay, so that's I'm gonna digress a bit here, and it just speaking from my own experience, all art must have some universal truth. I sit home and I practice hours a day because I like to practice. But I also realize what a privileged position that is, and also what a selfish thing it is. I sit here and I do what I want to do for, I don't know, 2-3 hours. But once I take the bandstand, I realize that it has to have more meaning than me, and I really strive for the moment of release to have a meaning to everyone. Okay, we can move on now. I have some notes here. So, in the discussions, it's really hard not to bring up certain aspects of form when talking about improvised music, because one of the main criticisms of improvised music is that there is no form, and it's such a big battle at times, especially, like from the early 80s into the beginning of the 21st century. It's like, honestly, there is no moral high ground to any form. 32 bars isn't better than 12 bars. It isn't better than 12,000 bars. It isn't better than an infinite number of bars. And vice versa. An infinite number of bars is not better than 32 bars. It's the content that makes the difference, not the form. The form is a container, and that container is sometimes set in stone. That container is sometimes liquid. If you think of a stream has a course, and it follows that course, and in that time it encounters and envelops everything it meets in that. And it is changed by what it meets: every rock, every stick, every log, every animal, every person. It gives them a big hug, and they're hugging back, and everybody is communicating on that level. And yet the stream continues to follow its course, whatever it is. This music is about the journey, not the destination. Now, is that any different if you have 32 bars? Well, not really, except that a form like a song form, you can compare it to a merry-go-round. There's that you're riding on the merry-go-round, and every time you go around, you see the same background. The background is the same, but what inhabits the foreground can be very different. But it's always, the background is always the same. In the stream analogy, of course, the background is not always the same. And, it's not one's good, one's bad, one's anything. It's the content. And if at the end of the journey, you're someplace better than where you started off, it's valid no matter what. If you're looking for, examples of freedom in song form, Charlie Parker, absolutely. There's no one freer than him, and he always stayed in song form. If you look at Charles Mingus was absolutely free in song form. He found freedom in longer forms that you could associate with Western classical music. He found freedom in no discernible form. Cecil Taylor found his freedom in liquid forms. There's not form. It's always wonder why form is even ever part of the discussion in this. But it's such a big, and it's also such a big deal. It's weird to me. But anyway, once again, there's no moral high ground in any form or what you might consider the lack of a form. There's no, or either, they were both ways. In fact, song form really has been around for centuries, but it was just one of many forms. And what changed that was the Great American Songbook. But the Great American Songbook is really the product of music publishers wanting to be able to have sheet music that was inexpensive enough for mass consumption. So, if you love song form more than anything in the world, you should understand that there's economic reasons why it is so prevalent, and not musical reasons, not art reasons. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, if I could get back to the energy thing. Because I've given this considerable thought as how I could relate it to an audience. We've probably all seen the movie Forrest Gump. So when Forrest starts his epic run, he's all by himself. He's got all the energy in the world, but he's all by himself. And then a couple of people are at it, and there's more energy. And then there's, I don't remember, but there's masses of people running with him for some amount of time. What people mostly take away from that scene is that Forrest has inspired and given his energy to all these people. Well, that's true. But the reality is he was a catalyst. And all these people joining him also added their energy to his. And they probably were the catalyst for him being able to run for, I forget, was it a year? I don't know. But he ran a long time and he ran far, but he gained energy from those people. And that's what happens when you're part of an audience. If you're willing to take the journey, you add your energy to the energy of the musicians. And it's really a beautiful thing. So I see I'm already over time here, and I'd like to end with two quotes. I mean, they're not really quotes, I'm probably not 100% accurate here, but they've always inspired me. It's two of the greatest minds and spirits of the 20th century. First, Albert Einstein. Oh, in fact, they're both named Albert. Albert Einstein is attributed with this: the most beautiful things we can experience are the mysterious. Bam. And then from Albert Eiler, it's all about the sound. And from me, sound heals. Notes are on a page. Thank you very much. I hope to see you again.